Do you really want to be like Steve Jobs? Well, he's dead, so... Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry. I have fallen in love. And before you go and say, falling in love with Doctor Who doesn't count. That's not what I'm talking about. And yes, it does count. I've fallen in love with a book. It started out and I was kind of unsure about the relationship. I know, people your type, and we usually aren't good together. Me and nonfiction just... what I'm talking about is, of course, my AP Euro summer reading book, and it is called... Okay, the title kind of gets cut off because it's really long, but it's A World Lit Only by Fire, The Medieval Mind and the I'm guessing it's Renaissance, clearly, but by William Manchester. This book is so entertaining. There has been at least 7 little sections on adultery and prostitution. And the views of prostitution back then are extremely contrary to what we have now. I'll read you a passage. In this lusty age, the most a parent could extract from a daughter was her promise not to yield until the banns had been read. Yield as in, once a couple were engaged, they slept together with society's approval. If a peasant girl was not pregnant, there was only 2 practical deterrents to her acceptance of a marriage proposal. It was her desire either to enter a convent or, at the far end of the spectrum, to join the world's oldest profession. Harlotry not only paid well, it was frequently prestigious. Because prostitutes had to expose their entire bodies, they were the cleanest people in Europe. I'll just give you a second, let that sink in. So that's how they felt about prostitutes then. A little different than our views of them today. But this is the passage that really made me love this book. So right now in the book, in this part of the book, they are discussing adultery and how it was almost expected for spouses to cheat on one another because it was human desire to do that. And even though it was frowned upon by the church, they just kind of accepted it. And, marriages were arranged and people fell in love with other people, or not even in love, they just... So, the period was not one of restraint. Boys were sexually aggressive and girls liked them so. Both wrote poetry, but their object was mutual possession. In the end, he always settled in between her thighs. Imagine if this... I just like how he's so, blunt with it. He's blunt, but in a poetic way. Well, I want to see William Manchester write Twilight. I would like to know what kind of story it would have been if he had written Twilight, because I think it would be very interesting. And this is what my actual textbook looks like. You see, yeah, it's kind of in bad condition. I mean, it's workable. Where's the back cover? There isn't one. Great. A possible baby name, and I'm being serious here, is Celtis, obviously named after Conradus Celtis, who was known as the arch-humanist, which he basically started the philosophy of humanism, which I think is awesome. Reasons why I like him. Reason 1, it was said, wherever he went, he gathered students about him and inspired them with his passion for poetry, classical literature, and antiquities. I even am more of a fan of his prodigy. His name is Eobin Hesse. Eobin Hesse, a prodigy of Celtis, published Heroides Christiania, a volume written in flawless Latin. Actually, as a Durant points out, the work was a clever parody of Ovid. Only accomplished Latinists could recognize the style, however. Others, taking it at a face value, were appalled. Hesse had forged blasphemous documents profaning the sacred origins of Christianity. Among his apocrypha, which the credulous accepted as genuine, were passionate love letters from Mary Magdalene to Jesus, and even more shocking, from Virgin Mary, whose virginity was exposed as a myth, to God the Father, Domain Deus, subtly exploiting the plural definition of Dominus, which may mean lover as well as father. Hesse implied that the missives had been sent to Rake, who had been cuckolding Joseph of Nazareth, and whom she had conceived Jesus. So basically, he was a troll. He made this parody, forging all these letters. That's just hilarious. Bye. So I'm coming home next week. My next video, I will be home, and I am very excited about that, so we need to hang out. Hesse implied that the missives, I don't know how to read.